Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. For today, we're going over UFC 278, Usman versus Edwards. First thing first, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe, hit that like button, give a follow over on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, taking over the world a little but slowly. As always, super quick recap. We had a lock lose last week. Not the biggest fan of that. I think this is maybe 3 weeks in a row. We went one of two on locks. That's not the greatest. Again, we will not choose a lock that's over mine. Well, okay, let me put it this way. We don't generally choose a lock that's over minus 300. You can't say I want Amanda Nunes minus 1,000. Like, it's just, there's no skill in that. I try to always go below that minus 300 threshold. This week, a little bit of an exception. There were not, literally, when it came to locks, there's a lot of greasy fights this week. Two of them, it literally left me with 2 or 3 fights total. After you take out my 2 dogs that I always have, there were literally only 2 or 3 fights that could be considered locks. So I did choose Sean Woodson, who was like a minus 350. It was very close to the minus 300 threshold. And Amir Abazi, before his line just kind of skyrocketed. When I bet him, it was like minus 330. Last time I checked, he was like minus 415. Like, he's getting a little out of control. But at the end of the day, again, you'll find all those on Twitter. After the weigh-ins, we also make reads in regards to how people look on the scale, things people are saying online. That stuff is already coming into effect. But again, I'm not here to ramble on about last week or weeks before that or how we do things. We're here to figure out what are going to happen in these fights and how are we going to make money. So, again, UFC 278. Disclaimers you hear from every single podcaster. This is in Utah, meaning that it is high elevation. So if there is a questionable gas tank, you fade unless you have a reason not to. And that's going to come into effect in the very first fight here. We have Victor Alto Moreno at minus 205 going up against Daniel De Silva. You'll also see him listed as Daniel Lacerda. However your book puts it, he has 2 different last names for whatever reason. He's coming in as a plus 175 dog. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is plus 130. Under 2.5 is minus 160. Let's start with Lacerda because or De Silva, whichever. I did kind of allude to bad gas tanks. That is the definition of Daniel De Silva. He is Terrence McKinney at flyweight. That's all. He is a Brazilian Terrence McKinney that weighs 30 pounds less. That's literally all he is. He has good wrestling. He has good striking. He's explosive as all hell. He's super fast. Like explosive. And all of his wins are very early. Looking here, he's only 26 years old. I want to say McKinney's 27. You have 2 losses, both hitting the under, both in the UFC. The other one was a shoulder injury 40 seconds in. I mean, nothing you can do there. And all of his wins, first round, and I believe all of these were. He's never made it out the first round and gotten a win. So, again, he has sneaky good jiu-jitsu. He is someone that trains with Charles Oliveira, good old Chucky O. So his ground game's pretty legit. His wrestling sneaky good, and his striking is not so much technical as just really fast. Like, he might be the fastest flyweight in the division, and he hits like a truck. It's just all of that explosion does wear on him, and he only has about 7 minutes of gas. On the flip side, you have Victor Alto Moreno. He's an okay striker. It's probably his best part of his game. He's pretty high volume when it comes to his striking. He has 70% takedown defense, so it's all right. It's not great, but it's not too terrible. His cardio seems to check out, though. You saw it in the Contender Series fight. He grew stronger as the fight went on, definitely won the 3rd round. Same with the split decision loss in his UFC debut. He seemed to get a little stronger as the fight went on. He's a little bit of a slow starter. And that's concerning because Daniel, all of his wins are in the first round. He's a fast starter. But the biggest thing I want to see here is that he's never been knocked out. But he does have, although he has 2 pro losses, he has some amateur losses where he did get choked out quite a bit. He got choked out a total of 4 times in his 5 losses. So, and they're all by rear naked choke. Like I had mentioned, Daniel Lacerda is not the world's worst wrestler. It's just his cardio is god awful. So are we fading the gas tank? Or do we think Daniel's able to get the job done early? Honestly, a lot of people are on Victor Moreno. I do think he wins this fight. The odds, though, God, I'm about the under. I kind of want to take a shot on Daniel. I know he's going to have to do it quick. Victor's never been knocked out. Victor's Mexican. Mexicans are known for having really, really solid chins and being very tough to put out. I don't think he has to knock him out. I think he can tap him out, in all honesty. Daniel has a lot of submission wins, so the pick is going to be Victor. The bet, although I want to pull the trigger on Daniel with the dog, I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm just going to bet the under. If Terrence, it's like, again, he's Brazilian Terrence McKinney. Never seen an under that he didn't hit. So we're just going to continue the trend here. Minus 160 isn't the worst in a Daniel Lacerda fight, especially the fact that they're a high elevation. He will not have, even if he doesn't get the win, he won't have the energy to go to him around 3. So pick is Victor. The bet is going to be the under. Next fight of the night's an interesting one. We have Arichi Lang at minus 165 going up against Jay Perrin at plus 140. This line is continually dropping. Last time I checked, Jay Perrin was at like a plus 125. Over under set at 2.5, over 2.5 at minus 195, under 2.5 at plus 160. Let's start with the favorite in Arichi Lang. He's all right. He's super, super high volume. Part of that is because he fought Jeff Molina and he was trying to keep up. But he has one of the sickest nicknames, the Mongolian Murderer. I love that. It's a pretty sick nickname. He loves to move forward. He does not stop going forward. He does slow down a touch later on in his fights, but he has such high volume that's completely justifiable. And he hits decently hard. He kind of cracks. His ground game is all right. His wrestling is supposed to be billed as a pretty good wrestler, but I did see him out wrestled in his Cody Durden fight. Not so much the Jeff Molina fight. So I don't know. His wrestling's okay. All in all, he's just a pressure fighter who has a ton of volume and decent power and good enough wrestling. On the flip side, we have Jay Perrin. He's someone that when he fought Mario Batista, I made Batista a lock. I did not think the highest of Jay Perrin, but he surprised me. He didn't look half bad against Mario Batista. He was a really good fighter. Jay is okay striking. He's durable as all hell. I don't think he's ever been knocked out either. Decision, guillotine, decision. Nope, never been knocked out. Not even on the amateur scene. So he's pretty durable. His wrestling's okay, but I will note that he's been training with Aljamain Sterling, Merab Dvalishvili, who's on this card. So that's a great camp to be working on if you want them to go out and wrestle. And he does try to mix it in all the time. So it'll be interesting to see 2 okay wrestlers going at it, seeing who's going to come out on top there. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor in the fight. His cardio's okay. He slows down just a touch as well, but not as much as the Mongolian Murderer, but he doesn't throw as much. So honestly, this whole fight's going to come down to the wrestling. Who do I think the better wrestler is? On paper, Arichi Lang. Contingent on what I see in the fight / who they're training with. Jay Perrin, what do I think actually happens against each other? I don't fucking know. I just think they're both durable as all hell. So the over, I know it's minus 195. That's definitely the way I'm going to bet it. So the pick is going to be Arichi Lang. The bet is actually going to end up being the over 2.5. But this is one I also kind of want to stay away from. Next fight of the night, already kind of alluded to which way I'm leaning here. We have Amir Abazi at minus, I have minus 390 listed on here when I wrote everything down, and I saw about minus 4. It was high 4s now. Francisco Figueroa, I had at a plus 320. Over under side at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 155. Under 2.5 plus 125. I think Amir is one of the most underrated flyweights in the UFC. He has really good wrestling. He has really good striking. He has really good cardio. He loves to go forward in his striking. I wouldn't say really good striking. He has decent striking. He's just kind of a pressure guy as well with good wrestling and good enough striking. He's only 28, so you do see him getting better and better each fight. The only knock I really have on him is his power because he has 0. His ground game's pretty decent. You saw him go out and triangle choke Malcolm Gordon. Now that's a tough feat. Malcolm Gordon is a black belt. He's very good on the ground. You saw a submission before that, before his UFC debut, his last regional fight. Win over Zalgas is a good win. So he has 2 good wins here. He has 1 loss in his career. All in all, he's just a great fighter. He's kind of a little bit of a generalist to an extent, but just at the fact that he can do everything. And again, he's 28, so he's pretty much entering his prime. I would say your prime is anywhere from like 26 to 30. So he's 28. He's smack dab in the middle. This is some of the best Amir Bowsy we're going to see. On the flip side, Francisco Figueiredo is only in the UFC because of his last name, Figueiredo. He is not his brother. I know his nickname is like the sniper or something like that. He's not. That's a wrong nickname because if you're going to snipe someone, you're going to need a little bit of power, something he doesn't have a ton of. His jiu-jitsu looks slick. Don't get me wrong. In his last fight against Daniel Da Silva, the aforementioned no gas tank Da Silva / Lacerda, he went out there, he got taken down and hit one of the smoothest knee bars I've ever seen in my life. It was a very, very slick knee bar off his back. I did like that. I like to see that. But all in all, he also lost to Malcolm Gordon by getting grapple fucked. He also won a very close fight against Jerome Rivera, who I think is the worst flyweight the UFC has ever seen. So he has not had the greatest competition in the UFC, and he's looked a little sketchy in all of them. He's extremely hittable. He slows down in his fight. He has no cardio. So again, Amir Bowsy has never been finished, and he has good cardio. Francisco has finishes over kind of lower level people on the regional scene, and then he went to a decision with Jerome Rivera. You go to a decision with Jerome Rivera, you're not going to finish Amir Albazi, and if you have no gas tank, I can't bet you. So the pick is Amir. The bet I'm gonna have Amir in a lot of parlays. Amir is gonna crush. Next fight of the night, we have AJ Fletcher at -150 going up against Angelusa at +130. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 -160. Under 2.5 +130. That's interesting. I think part of that is the Angelusa side. I like this guy. I think Angelusa is really good. But I think he's about to get cut from the UFC with a loss here. I think Angelusa is, unfortunately, he's had some bad misfortune in the UFC. He's at a good fight camp at Kill FC, Kill Cliff FC. But on the flip side, he has a loss to Munir Lazez. Munir's not the greatest in my opinion, but he's okay. He's a decent striker. Jack Della in his Contender Series fight, no one knew how good Jack Della was. Unfortunately, we all found out that night for Angelou's sake. I had a bet on Angelou's. I didn't realize how good Jack Della was, and he lost me money. He went to the regional scene after that, got a win over a UFC vet and John Howard, came back against Munir Lazez, short notice, and I put money on Angelus because he's actually pretty good, and Munir's a little one-sided. He was not able to get the fight down to the ground. So again, another L. So I have 2 opportunities to bet Angelus, and I am 0-2 doing so. Do I want to go back to the well? I don't know. He has good volume. He's pretty hittable himself. 100% takedown defense, which is nice because AJ Fletcher does like to wrestle to an extent. His jiu-jitsu on paper is okay. He's going to have a huge reach advantage here. 7-inch reach advantage. AJ Fletcher has some really like baby arms. His striking's not bad. He builds himself as a striker. He mixes in a lot of wrestling now, but he's technically a Swedish striker, I want to say. So I don't know. And his cardio seems to check out as well. He slows a little, but he has enough in there. Honestly, it's not the greatest comparison in the world. I think part of it is body type, but he reminds me a lot of Darren Stewart. Really good striking, keeps trying to mix in wrestling, even though he's not a wrestler, and got a decent win against someone. With Darren Stewart beat like Maki Pitolo, who's not the greatest. John Howard's not the greatest, and then fought some decent guys. I know Darren Stewart fought like Dustin Jacoby twice, and did he fight Eric Anders? I don't remember, but fought decent competition and lost them all and got cut. I feel like Angelus is on the same path here. Not just because they look alike, because they fight the same way. On the flip side, AJ Fletcher, he's cool, man. I think he's very good. I just think he's very green. So he could be a problem in a few years or so. He's only 25 years old. He's kind of newer to the sport. He was a linebacker at LSU. So that's kind of cool to have in your back pocket. And when you think of someone like that, you think explosion. God damn, is this guy explosive? The dude is quick. He has decent wrestling. He has okay striking. He is explosive with a capital E. This guy just is shot out of a cannon. He hits like a truck. I mean, look at him. He clearly hits like a truck. He does have a little bit of a cardio issue. He will slow down in fights. So he's the one I'm concerned about in reference to cardio in this fight. Um, Pretty low volume, but he doesn't need a lot of volume. He seems to get quick finishes generally. Flying knee in his contender series fight in the first round submissions. Before that, a lot of submission wins on here. He's a pretty good jiu-jitsu practitioner, but if he's on the feet, he's so strong it only takes one. He's pretty durable himself, and his lone UFC fight is also a short notice fight. He won his contender series fight. So you have two contender series guys with one UFC fight on short notice. They both lost, and now they're fighting each other. Do I want the guy with the okay cardio that seems to be a generalist, or do I want the explosive wrestler that can strike to an extent? I don't know. I agree with the line. I am going to end up picking AJ Fletcher. I don't really want to go with the over-under, even though they're both durable as all hell. One has decent volume. The other one is explosive as hell. I don't want to go that route. So I'm going to end up just picking AJ because minus 150 is not the worst value in the world. I think he can win the first two rounds, and then I think he gets killed in the third. But as long as he can survive, I think he's perfectly fine. So the pick is going to be AJ to win the first two rounds and end up getting a 29-28 decision. Yeah, so we'll go with. Or he can knock him out early, one of the two. Or tap him out early. All right, next fight of the night. Speaking of quick tap outs, we have Miranda Maverick at minus 475. And the last time I checked, this line got steamed. He is like minus 600. Shayna Young, it was 380 at that point. I was like 425 the last time I checked. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 140. Under 2.5 plus 110. Let's start with Miranda Maverick, clearly one of the biggest card. I think she is the biggest favorite on the card. No, she's not. Tyson Pedro is. She's the second biggest favorite on the card. She has decent striking. It's okay. It's a work in progress. It's getting better. She's kind of young. She's only 25 years old, so getting better. You can see by the picture, she's pretty jacked. Her jiu-jitsu is her bread and butter. She's very good on the ground. Her wrestling wasn't always the greatest. It looked phenomenal in her last fight against Sabina Mazo, but Sabina Mazo's takedown defense is awful. So it was a little combination of the two, kind of like the Lupi versus Ariana Carnelossi ordeal. One's is sneaky good, but the others is so bad that it made it look phenomenal. I think the biggest thing on this fight and why it opened at one line and got steamed and doubled is the fact that these two have already fought. When you look at their records here, and by the way, the Macy Barber fight, it says that she's won. It shows that she has lost 2 fights in the UFC. She has not. She beat Macy Barber. I had money on Macy Barber. I was excited to get that win. But when you watch that film, there's no way that she lost this fight. So she really only has one loss to Erin Blanchfield, the future champ. Otherwise, these two have fought in 2019. So she's 25 now. So she was 22 years old. She was just a very little young thing. And managed to finish Shayna Young in 2 minutes. So that's why everyone saw that they fought just 3 years ago. She demolished her. So everyone steamed Miranda Maverick. Now, when you go back and you watch the tape itself, it's a weird fight. Shayna hits her kind of hard and she does fall. I don't think she drops her, though. I think it was more of a slip. And then she did promptly take her down and then tap her out within seconds after. So maybe it was a decent drop. She was like, why am I standing with her? I'm just going to submit her. And she did. I don't know what the case is, but Shayna and Miranda also trains at elevation. So she's used to high altitude. So cardio is not going to be an issue for her. On the flip side, Shayna Young, she trains out of Vegas with Syndicate now. Her UFC win was against Gina Mazzani. That's not a good win. Gina's not that good. So I can't say it's not a good win. It's just not that impressive. A loss to Stephanie Yeager. That's kind of a tough fight. Macy Chazon. It's kind of a tough fight. So I'll give her benefit of the doubt there. All in all, her striking's okay. She's billed to have a wrestling pedigree, but she only has 60% takedown defense. So I'm not too sure about how good she actually is. There's not a lot of female wrestlers, so it's, being on your high school wrestling team or going to college, and there's only so many women's wrestling programs available to begin with. So it's weird. I don't know. She's also a little bit of a slow starter. So, I mean, I'm partially interested in the fact that it's plus money and that ended in 2 minutes last time. I don't know, man. This 60% takedown defense for someone that bills himself as a wrestler is weird. And Miranda did take her down easily last time. I think Shayna's wrestling has gotten even better. I don't know if it'll be as easy for Miranda to just take her down, but if Miranda gets her down, she is head and shoulders better than her on the ground. It will not take her long to tap her out. So the pick is going to be Miranda. The bet, dude, honestly, I'm probably not going to touch it because Miranda's too big of a favorite. Or I might take a stab on the under because it's plus money, and the last time they fought, the under hit. So, and you have 2.5 rounds here. Yeah, the pick is going to be Miranda. The bet, I'll just hope that someone finishes someone like they did last time and take that plus money, baby. Next fight of the night, we have our last lock here. We have Sean Woodson at minus 320 going up against Luis Saldana at plus 265. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 155. Under 2.5 at plus 125. Let's start with Sean Woodson. It's someone I really don't like and I keep trying to fade. I don't think he's very good, but his striking's decent. He's lanky as hell. I mean, look at his picture. This dude is all bones. He scares me when he gets on the scale, in all honesty. He does not look good. He does not look like he should be a featherweight, especially he is 6'2". The man is 6'2" and he's weighing in at 145 pounds. It's frightening. I don't know how he always makes weight. I just don't like the way it looks. 82% takedown defense, sneaky good. 6-inch reach advantage here. He's going to have like 6 to 10 inches on every single person that he fights. His cardio, again, it's okay. He slows down a little, and we saw Julian Erosa break him. But Juicy J keeps a crazy pace. Like, that's not a surprise. Sneaky good guillotine. He kept showing off in the Yusuf Zalal fight. He can catch you in some stuff with those lanky ass arms. He'll wrap your neck up real quick. That's not his bread and butter. He's generally a striker and he wants it on the feet, hence the 82% takedown defense. But as much as I dislike him, he's not as bad as I initially thought. He's still not good by any means. If he faces a decent wrestler, he's in trouble. I mean, he's fought Colin Anglin, is not the greatest wrestler. Yusuf Zalal's not really a wrestler and dropped a weight class recently. Kyle Bochniak, Terrence McKinney can wrestle. Terrence McKinney is very good at wrestling, but Terrence McKinney also has zero cardio. Terrence McKinney whooped his ass the first round and then got caught with a knee because Terrence McKinney can't. He does not have 5 minutes or more than 5 minutes in him. So again, McKinney dominated him with the wrestling. If he had someone that can wrestle and could last more than 5 minutes, he has an issue. But I don't think Luis Saldana is that guy. Saldana is someone that I saw live at UFC Columbus, the very first fight of the night against Bruno Souza. He's all right. He's at Fight Ready. I love Fight Ready, and Fight Ready is synonymous with getting people's wrestling at a higher level. But on the flip side, he's not good when it comes to cardio, and that's a concern. He is someone that always slows down in his fights. He throws pretty decent volume, which is part of the reason he slows down, but you can back him up. And he does try to mix in the wrestling since he's gone to Fight Ready. It's just he's not getting a ton of them. I think he took Bruno Souza down once or twice, but he wasn't able to hold him or control him at all. He just popped right back up. So it's kind of wasted effort. All in all, I think he's an okay fighter, but there's nothing really special about him either. I don't like either one of these guys. I like the camp of Luis Saldana, but I like the physical advantages for Sean Woodson, and that's the way I got to lean. So the pick is going to be Woodson. The bet is going to be Woodson at the minus 320 and not the works line. I also don't hate the over minus 155 if you want to go that route. I don't. These guys don't get finished too easily. Yeah, but I'll probably just take Woodson and play it safe. Next fight is not safe at all. We have Lucille we have Lucy Podolova at minus 140 going up against Yanan Wu at plus 120. These lines also, so many of these lines have moved. Last time I checked, Yanan Wu was even money. And Podolova was at like minus 125. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 360. Under 2.5 at plus 280. Not a lot to talk about in this fight because both these ladies are very, very bad, bottom of the barrel when it comes to women's MMA. Lucy, this is her second stint in the UFC. She went 0-4 in the promotion her first go around. Don't get me wrong. She fought some killers. She fought Liz Carmouche, who's crushing it. Irene Aldana is crushing it. Not 0-4. She lost 4 straight. I'm sorry. She lost to Lena Landsberg in her debut in the UFC. She beat Ji Young Kim, which is it's whatever. Sarah Morais isn't very good. I think Kim has been cut too. Irina Danya is a killer and killed her. Liz Carmouche, again, killer, killed her. Antonina Shevchenko is not a killer, but killed her. Justine Kish is not a killer, but killed her. Then she went on to win a few split decisions on the regional scene. One of these girls is 5-3. That's concerning. The other girl is 4-2. I don't know why she's going to splits with them. And then she got a decision loss on the regional scene. So not the greatest look. On the flip side, she was in the UFC way, way, way too early. Win over Julia Stoliarenko looks good, but the Julia back then is not the same Julia as now. Yeah, man. She's still super young. Don't get me wrong. This is her second time in the UFC and she's only 28. So she was just way too young when she was here before. But when you watch her film back then and watch it now, she hasn't gotten much better. She's basically the same fighter. On the flip side, she's fighting basically the same fighter. Yanan Wu and Lucy will have a 2-inch reach advantage there. So that's an advantage. I like that. Her striking's okay, but you can back her up. When it comes to Wu, her striking's okay. She's very hittable. Her cardio checks out, which is nice. And she throws a lot of combos, so that's nice, but she doesn't hit very hard. She's also not the oldest. She's only 26. She's just not very good, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. She lost to Mayra Bueno Solos, not bad. Jocelyn Edwards isn't the worst, even though I'm not the biggest fan. Misuki Inoue is ass. So the fact she lost a split there is concerning. She beat Lauren Mueller, one of the worst fighters ever in the UFC. Lost to Gina Mazzani. That's not impressive. That's it. So I don't know, man. She's effectively gone 1-4 in the promotion. Now they're giving her someone that the promotion thought was bad, so they cut on her return fight. If Wu loses, she is 110% cut. At the end of the day, it's women's MMA. If there's a plus sign or even next to one, I'm going to take them. And that one, so you're going reach advantage over volume. I'll take the volume with the plus money. So the pick is going to be Wu. The bet is going to be women's MMA, take the dog, Wu. Woohoo. Next fight of the night, we are getting greasy, folks. We have Jared Gordon at minus 285 going up against Leonardo Santos at plus 240. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 175. Under 2.5 plus 140. Let's start with Jared Gordon because I don't think he's the greatest. I think he's okay. He's a little bit of a generalist as well. His striking's decent. His wrestling's okay. His volume's good. His jiu-jitsu is all right. 54% takedown defense, so that's a little concerning. I know a lot of that comes from the Grant Dawson fight. Grant took him down at will. It's just you seem to be able to overpower this guy. I like that he came from the CFFC promotion. That's one of my favorite regional scenes, but his wins, man. Joe Selecki is a decent win, but I'm not too certain he won that fight. I had money on Jared that fight, so I'm glad Flash Gordon got the nod. It won me money, but that's another one of those where you understand the decision, you had money on the decision, you had the right read, but it was a little greasy. I'll just take the win and run. Danny Chavez has been cut. Chris Fishgold has been cut. Dan Moret has been cut. Hassan Diaz has been cut. Michael Quinones has been cut. So that's a lot of cut wins. Literally every single person he has beaten has been cut because they were not UFC level. Now, give him credit. On the flip side, his losses, Diego Ferreira is a monster. Joaquim Silva's not the worst. Charles Oliveira is the current champion. Grant Dawson is a monster. So he's beaten people that are not good enough and has been cut. He's lost to people that are literally current champions and or like perennial top 10. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with Jared Gordon. His biggest issue is his chin. I know he got choked up by Grant Dawson in his last fight, but before that, Chucky O knocked him out in a minute. Joaquim Silva knocked him out, and the fight Diego Pereira knocked him out in a round. So that's not good. Also, in his regional scene, he lost in CFFC, and he got stopped there too. So yeah, he's gotten stopped in every single fight. He's a little bit chinny. On the flip side, Leo Santos, God, I don't want to do it. God, I am not telling you to do it. Do not hear what I'm not saying. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I'm going to end up on a bet with Leo Santos. I think Leo Santos is God. The reason I don't want to do it is because Leo Santos is, you see it, 42 years old. That is not something you want to put your hard-earned money on. His last fight, he got choked out by Clay Guida. The fight before that, he got knocked out by Grant Dawson. God, it doesn't feel right. But he is going to have a 7-inch reach advantage. That's massive. The dude can crack. He has a ton of power. One of the last things that leave you with your old age is your power. So he can still hit hard as Clay Guida. He has great jiu-jitsu, like world-class jiu-jitsu that we never see, ever. Like ever. I don't know. In the UFC, he has 1, 2. Oh, he has 2 submission wins in the UFC. He is world class on the ground. He just never uses it. Part of that is because when you look at his record, he has some decisions, but he also has Kevin Lee knockout, a decision here, knockout. He hits hard. Hit surprisingly hard. He's not the greatest striker. He's just that damn hard. The issue is he's very low volume, and he is some of the worst cardio I've ever seen. It's pretty bad. Like, it's very, very bad. He has not even 5 minutes worth of cardio sometimes. The Clay Guida fight, he hurt Clay. Clay was on the ground. Most refs would have stopped the fight. This ref let it continue because Clay was responding every time he said, "You have to move, Clay." Clay moved. Not every fighter is able to do so. Clay was, but Leo punched himself out. Kind of similar to the David Onama fight last week. You can punch yourself out. If you have someone you think they're rocked and you go crazy, you can get tired. And that's exactly what Leo did. And he got choked out in the second round. He had nothing left after about 3 minutes in that fight. He hurt Clay like 30 seconds in, emptied the gas tank, like a minute straight of whooping his ass, had absolutely nothing left, and then got choked out. The only reason I think I'm going to end up with a bet on Leo Santos, and I'm going to bet him inside the distance, because that's the only way he wins. He will not win a decision. Mark my words, Leo Santos will not win a decision. Only way he wins is by probably knockout or submission. And newsflash, Jared Gordon, all of his losses are by finish. And Jared Gordon seems to usually start a little slow. Leonardo Santos comes at you like a bull. Like, that's all he has. He knows he only has 5 minutes of cardio. So he is coming at you with everything he has in that first 5 minutes. You know a better example of him? If you remember the fight a few weeks ago, Claudio Silva, he's the exact same thing. Good on the ground, hits pretty hard, has 1 round of cardio, he will fade. That's all it is. But I think Leo can put Chinny Jared away in the first round. This is going to be this. I think this is this week's O'Day Osborne. So, O'Day. I'm going to take Leonardo Santos on fight day. God, the pick is Jared, but the bet is end up Leo Santos by inside the distance. It's a lot of plus money there. All right. Next fight of the night, too much money, too much time on that. Next fight of the night, Tyson Pedro. I have minus 740. Harry Hunsucker plus 540. Last time I checked, Tyson Pedro was like minus 900. It's a little ridiculous. It's unbettable. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is plus 290. Under 1.5, minus 380. Can't even bet that now. The line has been steamed. This guy. You know what? Let's just jump right into it. Harry Hunsucker is probably the worst heavyweight the UFC has ever seen. So he dropped down to light heavyweight. Maybe that will do him justice. Maybe it will. I don't know. He's someone that literally was getting fights in Kentucky bars. Like, that was his regional scene. He was literally going to bars and getting in like glorified bar fights, and they were going on his record. And the funny thing is, all of his wins were by submission, because none of these drunk guys in Kentucky knew how to actually grapple. So all of his early fights, I mean, rear naked choke strikes, rear naked choke KO, Americana, Kimura. He was going in there and getting knockouts and subs like nobody's business. On the flip side, he fought talk about bad heavyweights, Dontel Mays, and got knocked out in 2 minutes. He fought Jared Vandera, got knocked out in 3 minutes. He fought Tai Tuivasa, lasted a whopping 49 seconds, and fought Justin Tafa, who actually missed weight at heavyweight, the first heavyweight and only heavyweight to ever do so, got knocked out in 2 minutes. The dude has no chin whatsoever. He is this week's Jordan, right? He is just a glass cannon. He will blast you. He will hurt you. He will submit you. But if you touch him, he's going out. He can't take a punch. On the flip side here, I think Tyson Pedro is a little overrated. He has very low volume. He has sneaky good jiu-jitsu that no one talks about. Most of the wins are by sub. 4-inch reach advantage. His cardio, a little questionable, a little shaky. His striking, it's okay. It's also a little shaky. Durability, a little shaky. He likes to move forward, and he hits decently hard. I think he's overrated. He is a friend of Tai Tuivasa, so he kind of gets the friend rub, kind of like the Blood Diamonds of the world. But he could actually back it up a little, and the heavier you go, the easier it is. And he's a light heavyweight, so he has decent jiu-jitsu and can hit hard, so that's all you really need. He took that 4-year break with a whole bunch of injuries, came back, absolutely killed Ike Villanueva. But I said that sentence right. Ike Villanueva is who he killed, so not impressive there. Win over Paul Craig is impressive. I think Paul Craig has zero chin. A win over Khalil Roundtree, also impressive. A loss to Alira Latifi, not so much. A loss to OSP, not so much. And the loss to Shogun Hua, not so much. So I don't know. He has 2 decent wins. He has 3 questionable losses. None of them are Harry Hunsucker bad. Do I think Harry Hunsucker can come in and knock him out? I don't know. Maybe. Can he come in and tap him out? Maybe. We've never seen Harry Hunsucker at light heavyweight. The dude's fast, and he hits hard, and he's not that bad on the ground. None of Harry Hunsucker's fight have made it out the first round. So that's why the under is steamed. That's why Tyson Pedro's minus 900. That's why he's going to be my pick to win. What do I want to bet? The under 110%. If there's just not a lot of value. Does a part of me want to bet Harry Hunsucker inside the distance? You're damn right I do. Am I going to do it? I don't know. Luckily, for whatever reason, this fight is on the pay-per-view. Harry Hunsucker is on a UFC pay-per-view. God, that's disturbing. I don't know. If I'm up on the night and I'm feeling nice and I have enough, I don't know, I have enough bush lights in me, I might take a shot on the Harry Hunsucker. I might be lit and make a Harry Hunsucker bet, since he'll be lit while he's fighting. So, and he's always lit while he's fighting in his Kentucky bars. So, pick is going to be pick is going to be Tyson Pedro. Bet is going to be the under. All right, then we're getting into some of the actual fights here. We have Marcin Tybura as a plus 330 dog going up against Alexander Romanov at minus 410. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 175. Under 1.5 at plus 140. let's start. Sorry, they did just move this around on me. Where are they at? They're right here. Let's start with Ty Borah. I don't think he's very good. He was one of these guys that were kind of doing the rope-a-dope effect where he'd let you punch yourself out and then he would take advantage late. He did it to Greg Hardy. He did it to Walt Harris. He did it to Big Ben Rothwell. Let them punch themselves out and then came back and got finishes and or a decision win. 82% takedown defense is important in this matchup. The people he's fought some good competition. Augustus Sakai, Shamil back in the day, Stefan Struve, Alexander Volkov is a monster, Derek Lewis, Verdum, Arlowski. He's fought the best of the best. He's definitely fought the better guys, 110%. And he also has a 3-inch reach advantage. His striking's not terrible. He might be the better striker. He's just kind of low volume, not a ton going on there. On the flip side, I don't think that Alexander Romanov is going to come out here and punch himself out because I don't think he's going to throw that many strikes. Alexander Romanov is okay striking. It is getting better, but the picture he has here, and again, shiny 16-0 record is also pushing into why the line is the way it is. This is not the same man, okay? The cardio scares me because this man, at some points, he has a few decision wins, and I remember watching one on the regional scene. He definitely had a decision win, or it was a late round win. Round 3 here. This was the one I watched. Excuse me. Round 3, he looked perfectly fine. He didn't look tired at all. And that was important to me because he has a ton of round 1 wins. He has a round 3 choke here too. Like, he's gotten finishes in the 3rd round. It's just everyone's going to talk about the Juan Espinito fight. Juan Espino won that fight. He got nut-shotted. He said, no more. I can't take anymore. I cannot continue to fight. Then it went to a judge's scorecard since it was so late into the fight. And the judges ended up giving it to Romanov. It was a little greasy. I'll admit it. I don't think he won that fight. But, I have nothing to say about it. He was definitely gassed out in that fight. The problem is Juan is a phenomenal wrestler. He's as good of a wrestler as Romanov is, and Romanov is a phenomenal wrestler. I like Romanov a lot. I actually at one point called him a future champion, and I still think he could be because not a lot of people can wrestle like him in this heavyweight division. His striking's okay. His cardio is the main thing. I'm not too certain. But after that Juan Espinito fight, he knew that he was toast in the 3rd round if he didn't get nut-shotted. So he came back against Jared not too long later. His Jared Vanderaa, he did what he was supposed to, took him out in the 2nd round. So again, showed that he still had some cardio. And then he took some time off. We didn't see him for a year. And he came back, or not a year, October. So 6 months. We didn't see him for 6 months, okay? This is a guy. Look at him. His name is King Kong. Huge man, crazy hair. He takes you down, wrestles you, throws you, makes you do backflips, gets on top of you, puts all 265 pounds on top of you, and just hammer fists the shit out of you with both fists. That's what he does. This man doesn't exist anymore. This man came back 6 months later. He went to Tiger Muay Thai. He used to just train by himself and with people around him. He took it seriously. That one fight scared the shit out of him. He saw all of his 14-0 record almost leave because he was out of shape and literally went to Tiger Muay Thai, which is one of the best camps you can go to, came back with a shaved head. The flow was gone. He came back with a shaved head and a 6-pack. He came in and he weighed in at 241 pounds. Not the 265 hairy flubby guy here. He weighed in with abs and a bald head. And he came out and he absolutely killed Chase Sherman. Poor Chase Sherman was a sacrifice. He was the biggest favorite in UFC history, and he looked every part of it. So if that new Volkov or that new Romanov shows up to this fight, Jesus Christ, is Marcin in some trouble. That new Tiger Muay Thai bald 6-pack Romanov is championship material. So the pick is going to be Romanov. I'm going to agree with the minus 400. The bet, you can throw him in some parlays at minus 400. Don't touch the over under. I don't hate the under plus 140 or the under 1.5. If he takes him down and kills, wouldn't surprise me, but he has a lot of 2nd round finishes. So I don't want to play that game. I do not hate Romanov and parlays whatsoever. He's a killer. All right, next fight of the night, we have one of my favorite dogs of the night. We have Jose Aldo at plus 120 going up against Merab Dvalishvili at minus 135. Over/under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 210. Under 2.5 plus 170. Let's start with Merab because I think he's good. There's a few question marks I have. Cardio is not one. We talked about cardio being a thing here. Not with Merab. He has the best cardio I've ever seen in my life. Literally, one of the best. Kobe Covington is the best cardio I've ever seen in my life, but Merab is number 2 or 3. 110%. Great wrestling. He's very, very good at taking you down. The only issue is he can't keep you down. You see fights where he has like 16 takedowns in one fight, but that means they got up 15 times. So yeah, he can't keep you down when he gets you there, but he'll keep doing it because he has infinite cardio. His striking's not bad. It's actually better than I remember it being when I went back and did fight tape. We saw it a lot in the Cody Stamen fight. He's a little hittable on the feet, and his chin scares me. He's another one of these guys that continually get rocked but don't go out. And one of these days, that luck is going to run out and they're going to go fully out and it's going to start a bad chain of events. Merab is on that list. The guys that when you get clipped, they get hurt badly. They just officially haven't been knocked out, but their eyes have rolled back. They just woke up real quick. Dude, he's going to get put out one of these days. And I'm scared that it's going to be this fight because Jose Aldo hits hard. Jose Aldo has fought the better competition. Jose Aldo is a former champion. Jose Aldo has a 2-inch reach advantage. And Jose Aldo, the most important stat about Jose Aldo, not Tyson Pedro, Jose Aldo, is that he has a 90% takedown defense. So like I said, Merab is a great wrestler. He continues to go nonstop, but he can't really hold you down. If he can't get Jose Aldo down, that's very concerning. And not for Jose's gas. Jose's gas tank is it's not questionable. His 5-round cardio is questionable. 3-round, he can do that forever. Elevation, he's fine. He'll be absolutely fine for 3 rounds. 5 rounds, I would lean Merab. But here, Jose packs a punch, and Merab can't get this down. He is in trouble. I think this is the time he goes out. My only concern is I start to fade the lighter weight guys at age 35. Jose Aldo is 35. He's on the marker. So could we see once you hit 35 at any point, you can just see the wheels fall off. We saw it last week at age 37 with Dom. It killed me. I love Dominic Cruz. I refused to watch anything about last week. I was so annoyed. He was winning that fight. He just got caught. But at 37, that chin is gone. Aldo, his chin seems fine, but his cardio is the one that's starting to take a hit. They are at altitude. I still think he'll be fine for 3 rounds, but Merab pushes a pace and he won't stop wrestling. So I don't know, man. 35, you could see that fall off at any point. If that fall off is not happening this fight, I think he wins. And I think he's a big enough dog to where I'm going to take the shot. I love him. As a dog, I love Jose Aldo in a 3-round fight. So the pick is going to be Jose. The bet is going to be Jose at plus money. I think you're getting a value. Then we are on to our co-main event. We have Paulo Costa at minus 285 going up against Luke Rockhold at plus 240. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 140. Under 1.5 at plus 110. Damn, it felt really weird doing Luke Rockhold fight tape because all of his fights were from like 2017. The dude, we talked about older gentlemen. This dude is 37 years young. God, he is old. He's also a former champion. He has great striking. He has great ground game. He's a very good wrestler. He has great cardio. He has zero chin. Zero chin. Also, his last fight was against a former champion, Jan Blachowicz, at 205. That was in 2019. He killed Jan the first round and then got caught with the left hook and went out. Yoel Romero, he killed Yoel Romero for 2 rounds and then got caught and knocked out. Michael Bisping. They fought twice. The first time he killed Michael Bisping and then choked him out with one arm. The second time he was dancing around the cage and he got knocked out. Vitor Belfort was on the juice. I'll cut him slack here. Belfort was on the juice, notorious for using steroids. TRT Vitor was insane, but he got knocked out. So every single one of his losses are by knockout. He is chinny, but God, when he wins, he looks phenomenal. He is a great fighter. Again, the last time we even saw him in the octagon was 3 years ago. So that's very concerning. The last time he got a win was against David Branch in 2017. That's not a good look here. So Luke Rockhold is head and shoulders the better fighter. It's just he's a very, very chinny. We haven't seen him in 3 years. On the flip side, you have Paulo Costa, who is not a good fighter. His striking is okay, but look at him. He hits like a truck. If he touches you, you go out. He himself is hittable, don't get me wrong. He eats like 3 shots to hit you once, but he will have a 5-inch reach advantage. His cardio, he does slow down. He looked fine at 205. He's one of these guys that, even though they're gassed, they'll continue to throw. And he has so much power that it doesn't matter how gassed he is, he can still put Rockhold out. I don't know, man. I don't think he's very good. He looked like ass against Marvin Vettori, and we know he's about the whole weight cut debacle there. And the UFC said he will never, ever, ever, ever weigh in at 185 again. And sure enough, here he is at 185. So they didn't stay true. But they do have someone babysitting him. They literally, and they did have this fight scheduled, and it got canceled and pushed back a month. Is part of that because of the way his weight cut was going? I don't know. I honestly, that's the rumor, is that his weight cut was not looking good, so they pushed the fight back a month to give him more time. That's a little concerning. His weight cuts are an issue, but he hits so hard. And Luke Rockhold's chin is so bad, and we haven't seen him. It was bad 3 years ago. Now he's 37. That chin, God. I think Luke Rockhold's a better fighter, but it only takes one shot, and Paulo's going to catch him eventually. He has 15 minutes to do so. So the pick is going to be Paulo. God, but the bet, I'll actually take the. I kind of want to take the under. I don't know. I don't want to touch this fight. I don't want to root for Paulo Costa. I hate this man. But the pick is going to be Paulo. The bet, I'll just end up taking Paulo. All right, and then that takes us to the main event of the evening. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button to subscribe. Make sure you give a follow over on Instagram, Twitter, over on TikTok. Again, we have Kamaru Usman at minus 350 going up against Leon Edwards at plus 290. Over under set, and these lines have moved as well. Usman all the way in the minus like 415 range. Leon Edwards plus 310. Over under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 is minus 160. Under 4.5 plus 130. Let's start with Leon. He's the guy that wasn't given enough credit. He should have fought for a title like 3 fights ago. He's on a 10-fight winning streak. The UFC finally decided they have no choice. They have to give it to him. He's a big enough name. His striking's very good. Lower volume than I had expected, but he's very strategic. He's very technical. He's very good on the feet. 70% takedown defense isn't the worst. His cardio checks out. I know he looked a little sketchy in the first Usman fight. There was a lot of wrestling. It might be the same way now. And his last fight against Diaz, he did slow down a touch, but he's fought 5-rounders before against like RDA, and he looked phenomenal. Didn't look tired at all. And he's fought wrestlers before, like Gunnar Nelson, didn't look tired at all. So his cardio, either sometimes he slows a little or he looks great. You never know. Either way, it's not terrible. And honestly, his grappling has gotten a lot better. These two fought before, and they fought, God, it's been that long. It's been 7 years. They fought 7 years ago, and Usman went out. It says unanimous decision, but it was a pretty close fight. It was not easy for Usman at all. On the flip side, I mean, the issue I have with him is that he fought Nate Diaz, who's lost. RDA is old. Gunnar Nelson is all right. He's kind of one-dimensional. Not one-dimensional. He's all right. Split decision win. I'll give him that. Dino Cerrone's a lightweight. Peter Sabata's ass. Brian Barberina is not good. Vicente Luque is a great win. Turmanov no longer in the UFC. Dominic Waters no longer in the UFC. So the 10-fight win streak isn't against the best competition. He has like 2 decent ones, and then some with some asterisks next to it. But you got to fight who you got to fight. He also tried to fight Bilal Muhammad. He was whooping Bilal's ass, but then there were some eye pokes. So he also, like, it's not like he's just trying to get cupcake matchups. He tried to fight Tyron Woodley. He tried to fight Khamzat 3 times. They booked that fight 3 times, but he caught COVID, then Khamzat caught COVID, and then Khamzat caught COVID again. Just wasn't meant to be. He tried to fight Jorge Masvidal, got canceled. He's trying to fight the top 5 guys, but things just keep happening. So it's not on him. He's fighting who he can. All in all, since the last fight, I think his grappling has improved a ton, which can make a difference. On the flip side, since their last fight, Kamaru Usman's striking has improved a lot. He does some work at Kill Cliff FC, but he does most of his work over in Elevation. So he already has good cardio. Now he's over there training with Rose Namajunas and Justin Gaethje. So they look phenomenal up there. Great cardio. Now, Usman himself is 35 years old. Who knows when those wheels are going to fall off? Secondly, he's another one of these guys where you clip them a lot. He got rocked by Colby Covington. He got rocked by Gilbert Burns. Like, he gets rocked a lot. He just never goes out. One of these days, he's going to go out. I just don't know if Leon's the guy. Usman, world-class wrestling. His cardio, world class. Again, striking looks so much improved over Trevor Whitman. And volume, pretty decent. He can keep a good pace. So you have Usman, who also said they will be wrestling. And I mean, that's how he won the first matchup. So why would he not do it again? The last time he mentioned there'd be a lot of wrestling was the first time he fought Masvidal, and he did wrestle him. He wasn't lying. He wrestled him and he held him down for dear life. He might do that to Edwards again, especially if it's not fixed. Why, if it ain't broke, why fix it? So it wouldn't surprise me if he had the same game plan. Now, do I think Usman wins the fight? Yes. Do I think Usman is the better fighter? Yes. Are there routes for Leon to win? Yeah. Do I think the line is way off now? Yeah. So I'm going to play it the way I play almost every main event that allows me. I'm going to bet Kamaru Usman in a lot of parlays, at least 3 parlays. And then if those parlays are still surviving, I will have a bet on Leon Edwards to hedge. I know not everyone is team hedge, but when you get plus 300 on a live, I wouldn't say live, when you have plus 300 on someone where you can definitely see them winning, you have to take the shot. And why just take the blind shot when you can guarantee money? So the pick is Usman. The bet is Usman in parlays, but I will have some Leon individual to hedge out. And that is UFC 278. I cannot wait for this fight card. There's going to be a break after this. You get so used to fights every single week. We are on like 12 or 13 weeks in a row. It's going to be the first week without fights next week. So take advantage of this card. It's a pay-per-view. Make sure you get your nap in. Prelims start at 6. And let's get some W's, baby. Let's get it.